And we are back. A lot of news to cover today. It's been a while since we did a podcast. I think it's been 3 or 4 nights now. There's a lot to talk about. I think the biggest thing, and we're gonna jump right into it, is the whole Lowry and Lonzo deal. The NBA is gonna investigate into tampering for those deals. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, the NBA is at the end of the day is who can tamper better. So it's kind of just like whatever, I don't really look too much into it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there was the time when players used to take 3-4 days before they would finalize their decision, and that would be after free agency opened officially. And now what happens is free agency opens at 6 p.m. Eastern time, and as soon as free agency opens, within the first half an hour, 50% of the players have already signed somewhere. And we're not stupid. Those deals don't happen in half an hour. Those deals take 4, 5, 6 days, sometimes a couple weeks in Kawhi Leonard's case, which we're going to talk about. And nowadays, it's just instant. Like, people sign instantly, and that's not the way it works. Like, obviously, these deals build up for 4 or 5 days, which is why they go into this whole tampering investigation thing. And that's why you saw a lot of deals get announced a couple hours after free agency opened, just to make sure they don't get caught under this whole tampering thing. And the whole Lowry deal and Lonzo deal, they're both in retrospect, they're good deals for both teams. But if this goes south for either of them, for the Bulls or for the Raptors, it's gonna suck because there's a lot that these teams have hinging on these deals.
Well, I don't think the deals are gonna get rescinded. I think they're gonna just get like punished, like they're gonna get fined, and they're probably gonna get like some draft picks taken away from them, which would be terrible for both teams, obviously. But it's not gonna completely unravel the deals.
I hope not, especially because for us, honestly, Kyle Lowry's already like in our hearts. He's not a Raptor anymore. I mean, he's the greatest Raptor ever. He's gonna be a Raptor forever in that sense. But I mean in the sense that he's not here anymore playing for our team. So it's going to be weird if the whole deal falls through and he ends up a Raptor again. It's just going to be like awkward. And even if it doesn't, and he doesn't end up on the Heat, the whole deal that we made so far with Dragic and Achua, which is finalized, that's going to happen now. Masai said he wants to keep Goran, but Achua fills a hole for us at the center spot, and he's a good young center. So if that deal falls through, it's kind of going to suck for us in the future at that center spot.
For sure. It's also going to suck for the Bulls because their team's looking pretty nice. Like, I like their team. If they don't have Lonzo on it, it's not going to be as good. Nowhere near as good, in my opinion.
I mean, Lonzo's the one that puts it all together because Lonzo is the point guard in terms of positioning. But in terms of actual fit on the floor, DeMar's going to be the point guard. He's going to have the ball in his hands. He deserves to. He's upped his playmaking ability since he left Toronto. He had a bit of a ball hog tag on him when he left here. And ever since then, in the last couple of years in San Antonio, he has developed into a much better playmaker. And it's gone under the radar. And he's going to be the point guard there. So Lonzo is an off-ball player. And it doesn't work without him now because they got the whole DeMar DeRozan deal thinking that Lonzo is going to be a part of it. And without Lonzo, the fit's going to be off.
Yeah. Sure.
In other news, the Heat did get one positive thing going for them. Jimmy Butler signed a 4-year, $184 million deal. He's going to make $51 million in 2025-26 in the last year of his deal. What do you guys think about that? Is Jimmy worth it? Because in my opinion, I don't know with the season he had last year, but to keep your superstars, I feel like that's what it costs.
Yeah, I don't know. He's not like the best player. He's not. I don't even say he's like top 5 in terms of wings. But
I feel like he's top 5 in terms of wings. I don't know if he's top 5 in terms of players in the league.
No, they're close in my opinion. I mean, in terms of wings, maybe he is like he's like the 5th best, maybe. But
he's definitely the best on the Heat, though.
Oh, by far.
And I feel like at that point, right, that justifies him getting all that money.
He's also like their cornerstone. He's their heart. He's the heart of the team. He's the one always pushing them. So you have to pay him. Like without him, the team isn't anywhere near as good, not only in terms of talent, but in terms of their culture and their mentality.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, that's part of the reason he went there was because of the culture there, and he fit that culture. And he's a Miami Heat guy, as is Kyle Lowry, as is Bam Adebayo, and as are the new guys they got, PJ Tucker and the Morris twin, Markieff. So Jimmy's the leader of that identity that they have now, and he is the superstar player there still. He's only 31, 32. So by the time the deal ends, he'll be like 36, 37. And he doesn't rely on athleticism that much. So in that sense, I feel like it'll fare well for him, especially because he is a defensive player.
Yeah.
But I don't know if $51 million in his last year is going to be a good thing or a bad thing. It remains to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
One player that it doesn't matter how much he makes in his last year, and he's going to make $54 million in his last year, is Kevin Durant. He signed a 4-year, $198 million deal. He's going to make, again, $54 million in the last year. But the thing with Kevin Durant is he's a purely skill player, and I don't see a world in which in 4 years he can't. He's still going to be able to get 30 in his sleep.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that? The Nets have Kevin Durant for presumably forever. He might retire there now.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's not really much to talk about in my opinion. He's the second best player in the league. So
in my opinion,
it's a no-brainer.
I mean, he's top 2 for sure. I think he's top 2 for sure. Top 3 for sure. I think the players that I have in that category, and now that I'm actually thinking about it, there's a lot more players you could say. But my top 4, I would say, with respect to Kevin Durant, would be him, LeBron, Steph, and Luka. I think those 4 are above everybody in the league. You could throw Giannis in there as well and give that like a proper 5. Yeah. But Kevin Durant, even out of those guys, but out of just anybody in the league, maybe in the history of the league, is just the best scorer ever. So he warrants that kind of deal, and it remains to be seen what happens with Kyrie and Harden, whether they sign this summer or next summer. But they're gonna get similar deals as well, and by the time they're all said and done, if they give everybody every dollar that they can get, they're gonna be paying about $552 million over 4 years. For the 3 players, so it's gonna be crazy. They're gonna be paying them $500 million.
Didn't Kyrie say that he may retire soon?
He said that.
Right.
I mean, he's what? Not Kevin Durant. Anthony Davis is what? 28, right? I think he's 2 years older than him. He's 30, and he's saying he wants to retire soon. So I don't know if by soon he means after one more contract extension, because by then he'd be 35, 36. That would actually kind of make sense. But again, soon as in like, I mean, with Kyrie, the thing is, Kyrie's a weird person, just in general. A lot of the things he does is weird. A lot of things he says is weird. So I don't really read much into what he says or does, because at the end of the day, he performs on the floor. He always has. He always will. And the only concern with him ever, really, outside of some of the off-court antics, is just whether he can stay healthy or not. Yeah. And that was an issue for them last year as well. So that's the only thing that would hinder him from making his money. But I don't see why after you signed Kevin Durant, and the whole reason he is there is because of him playing with Kyrie and with James Harden. Just to make Kevin Durant happy, you'd have to sign Kyrie, give him every dollar you can.
For sure. All right, so next I want to talk about Kemba Walker going to the Knicks.
Yes, I completely forgot about that.
Kemba to the Knicks, man, that's insane. I did not see that coming, especially considering they already have Quickly, they have D Rose, so I didn't see it happening. But
he's their starting point guard now, and honestly, like Derrick Rose is better as a bench player. So in the sense of their last year's roster, Kemba replaces Elfrid Payton in the starting lineup. So that's a huge upgrade in terms of offense. It's a major decrease in terms of defense, but I think they can make it up in other ways, especially because Mitchell Robinson's coming back and he's a defensive stud in the NBA. But yeah, Kemba, he deserves to be there. He had that huge game winner with UConn before he came to the NBA, and that was in the Garden, and he's had huge moments in the Garden in the NBA. I think since he came into the NBA, I think he's the 5th leading scorer in the Garden. I think he averages like 21 in the Garden. So hopefully he averages 21 for them next year. That's what they need.
Yeah.
What do you guys think the fit is going to be there though? Because they have Quickly, they have D Rose, they have Fournier, they have a lot of guys, especially offensively. What do you guys think is going to happen?
I don't think they really have to overthink it because they can all shoot, they can all dribble, they can all pass. So I feel like it's just gonna work itself out. I think I feel like it's just gonna be a really good fit. I just don't think they're gonna be able to run like D Rose and him at the same time.
I think it's gonna be Quickly with either one of them if they have 2 point guards. Yeah. But I think RJ may be the small forward, maybe the shooting guard. It remains to be seen what's gonna happen there.
But I feel like it's gonna be
actually Fournier is there. Fournier is there too.
It's gonna be Kemba, Fournier, RJ, Julius Randle, and
Mitchell Robinson. Yeah, that's a pretty good starting 5. I think compared to what other teams in the East have, especially like teams like the Raptors, teams like the Wizards that have kind of lost some of their players, and they were in that playoff race last year, in the play-in race. I think the Knicks, being already in the playoffs last year, they're going to keep their spot as like a top 5, top 6 seed. It remains to be seen how their defense is because, again, Tom Thibodeau is a defensive coach. So if their defense... Sorry, what?
It should be fine. Let's say their defense should be fine, honestly. They have Tibbs.
I mean, yeah, in terms of schemes, they will be. But in today's NBA, especially in the playoffs, people do hunt the weakest link on defense. And that, on every team Kemba Walker's been on, it's been him. He's been the weakest link. So in playoff games, especially because of his health and his lack of defense, it remains to be seen what kind of defense they can put up.
That's true. Yeah.
Again, they were one of the best defenses in the league last year.
Yeah.
All right. Wait, sorry. I got a question. Do you guys think that Kemba will work in terms of like teamwork on that team?
Kemba's one of the best teammates in the league. I feel like.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the things.
You don't feel like there'll be a problem with the fit between other players?
I think Derrick Rose is at that point in his career where he just wants to win and he just wants to be in the league first of all, because a couple years ago he was on the fence of being out of the league. So for him, I don't think he really cares. I think he wants to come off the bench, because that's a rule that suits him now in today's NBA. And Elfrid Payton's not going to be there. He played 20-something minutes in the starting lineup for them. So even if he just takes some of Payton's minutes, or all of Payton's minutes and a couple of other minutes here and there, he's probably not going to play 30 minutes a game anyway, so I don't think it really affects anybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next, I feel like we should talk about Dinwiddie to the Wizards, actually.
Yeah, which
is pretty interesting.
Honestly, I was just talking about how the Wizards did make a downgrade in terms of losing Westbrook, but in terms of fit, I think it's going to be interesting because Dinwiddie is another player that is better with the ball in his hands, but the difference is he is a very good jump shooter. So he can play at different levels in different schemes in different ways. So the fit between him and Bradley Beal will be interesting. What do you guys think about that?
I feel like it's gonna work, honestly. I think the most interesting thing is he's coming off an injury, like a pretty major one too, that kept him up for a long time. So you have to see how he bounces back.
Yeah, he tore an ACL, and I mean in today's NBA, a lot of players do come back from that pretty well. And again, he's another one of those players that isn't relying on his athleticism. So it shouldn't be too much of a big deal because he relies on his skill, his ability to read the defense and make plays. So that'll still be there. It's just a matter of him having his legs on his jump shot, because that's the only thing that I would really be concerned about.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I feel like he should be fine. He doesn't necessarily rely on his athleticism, right?
No, not at all. Did you guys see the Team USA game? Because honestly, I just looked at the scores. I haven't really been watching the games. But Team USA took the gold, barely. And it was interesting to see what people are saying about the team, because Damian Lillard, as much of a superstar as he is in the NBA, he doesn't really work in the FIBA game because you're allowed to hand check. And I feel like that made him very uncomfortable.
I feel like that affected a lot of the players on the team.
I mean, it did, but I feel like the other players adjusted to it, and that's why they got the gold. Especially players like Zach LaVine, if you guys go watch the highlights, this guy became a lockdown defender during Team USA. Now they are allowed to hand check, so in the NBA, without being able to do that, I don't think he's gonna be able to play defense like that. But from the highlights that I saw, the stuff that I was like just watching in clips and stuff, the international game is very interesting just because of the physicality. And it's more fun to watch in that sense because you don't have to worry about, okay, there's this call, there's this call, there's this foul, there's this person kicking their legs and trying to draw a foul on the defense. Like none of that stuff works. You have to play actual basketball. And I was impressed by just the show that was put on in terms of physicality. What do you guys think about that? Like, do you think the NBA should change the rules maybe?
Everyone is never going to change the rules. I feel like they should, but they're never going to because they did this systematically. It's not like it was an accident. They're like, okay, we just want the offensive players to score as many buckets as they can so they get more people watching their games. It's more exciting that way.
Yeah, even in today's NBA, it's all about highlights. People don't really start watching the games until the playoffs come around. So in the regular season, people really just look at the highlights. And the way the NBA is right now, it's set up for more highlight type plays, up and down, fast paced basketball.
Yeah.
But again, in the playoffs, if you go look at any of the last 10 finals, there's always the pushing, shoving, scrapping, clawing. It always gets back to that kind of game. And the refs, they bite their whistle a little bit more. They don't make as many calls. And I like basketball like that because even playing basketball ourselves, playing street ball, it's all about the physicality.
Yeah, facts.
And like we barely ever call fouls. That's the way we play.
Never. I literally body check you and this go on a foul.
I mean that's a bit extreme, but the point being, I miss the physicality in the NBA because when I started watching basketball, it was just when it started to fizzle out a little bit, but it was still there, even in the regular season game. But now in the playoffs, you don't see any of that. I mean, in the playoffs you see that. In the regular season, you don't see any of that. It's pretty weak, to be honest. And it's a good display of highlights, but it's, in my opinion, not a great display of basketball. Because basketball is a contact sport, and the contact is being taken out of it.
Yeah, it's pretty annoying, honestly. It's like sometimes it doesn't look like they're trying on defense. Like, what am I watching at this point? Might as well just go and watch that YMCA basketball.
Well, it's not even that they're not trying on defense. It's that they can't play defense the way that they're accustomed to playing defense in high school and college, where you're allowed to be a bit more physical. There's a lot more hand checking, pushing, shoving, grabbing. And when you do that stuff, you just get called for fouls. And then there's James Harden. And they're going to make the James Harden rule now, where you can't use your arms and, like hook people and go under their arms and stuff. But up to this point, that stuff really ruined the quality of the game.
Yeah.
Didn't the NBA make a rule change where I know there was a rule change with like something with contact fouls.
Yeah. Oh, they've been doing that. Like I think they just kept on adding to that rule.
I mean, what they're gonna do now is they're gonna start calling offensive fouls on unnat. I think that the term that they gave it was unnatural shooting motions. So when a player is just dribbling and chucks up a random shot that doesn't make any kind of sense because they're just trying to draw a dumbass foul. I think that stuff is gonna be out of the game. Players like Trae Young and James Harden, they're creative scorers. They're still gonna get their 30 in other ways, but it's not gonna be with them getting to the line 15 times, 18 times a game. It's gonna be more like 9, 10, maybe 11 free throws in a game, and it's gonna be good for the game because it's not gonna slow down as much, and players aren't gonna be coming off of screens, slowing down on purpose to draw contact and stuff. I don't like any of that. To me, it's all bullshit because when you go play basketball on the street and you do that, people are going to start boxing you. I swear to God.
Bro, people are going to be like, what is this pussy doing on the court, bro?
I know, like, yeah, no, for real. It's whack. I don't like it.
So whack. One of my favorite moves, no, it's not even actually a move, it's just a signing. I like the fact that Cameron Payne went back to the Suns. I feel like it's a pretty big thing because at the end of the playoffs, like when the finals ended, I'm like, they need to bring him back because they didn't have anyone else to run that point guard spot off the bench. And he played really well for them. And
he signed a team-friendly deal. I mean, at the end of last year, before he got to the Suns, it looked like he may sign a deal in China. That's what was floating around. Because he looked like he's about to fall out of the league. So within a year, it's nice to see him rehabilitate his game, rehabilitate his image, and sign. I mean, he signed a team-friendly deal. I think he could have gotten some more money somewhere else. but he signed what, a 3-year, $20 million deal, something in that range, and
3-year 19.
3-year 19. So that's a good deal for the Suns in terms of having a backup point guard for the future. Maybe even a starting point guard if he can up his quality of play a little bit. But
yeah,
for the foreseeable future with Chris Paul there already, it's gonna be a good fit for them, and I think that's great for the Suns especially.
Yeah.
Another backup point guard was the Nets. They got Patty Mills. I'm not really sure what the terms of their deal were. I know it's a 2-year deal. But the reason I brought this up is because people have been talking about all the players that the Lakers signed. I think Patty Mills is easily better than any of those Lakers signings. You can look at every one of those Lakers signings, and I could make an argument that the Nets got the better player, especially off their bench.
THT?
THT is overrated. I mean, THT had a bunch of summer league highlights and people got hyped about it. He never really did much in the regular season. He had a couple of 20-point games. That's cool. So did KCP. So did Danny Green when he was there. Like, it's not
Dwight?
a big... Dwight, I mean, I don't... Again, Dwight's not even...
He's better than Patty Mills.
Patty Mills, bro. Patty Mills is a bucket, I'm telling you. Especially because Kyrie is in and out, and sometimes in the middle of March, he may just disappear and miss a couple games. So Patty Mills is the perfect player to fill in those situations too, whether it's at the 1 or at the 2. But I think Patty Mills, just in terms of his skill set in the pick and roll, his shooting ability, and just his maturity and his level of IQ playing the game, I think he's better than any of those Lakers signings. Especially because players like Ariza, Dwight, Carmelo, they're at the end of their careers, man. Like, they don't have much left to give physically. And then there's players like THT who are overrated. There's players like Kendrick Nunn who are slightly overrated. He's really good in terms of off the bench scoring. But you can go look at the playoffs. The 4 games that they played against the Bucks, they completely benched him because he can't play in those situations. So it'll be interesting to see just what happens there. My opinion is just that Patty Mills is better than any.
He's not a bad point guard though.
Yeah, not at all.
Who, Patty Mills? Not at all.
Yeah.
He's a bucket, bro.
I feel like he's a great pickup though, no?
He's a very solid pickup. I think he's, again, better than anybody the Lakers got for sure. And honestly, I think that's the team that should have got him. But with who they have with Westbrook, with LeBron, I don't know if they wanted that kind of player. It remains to be seen what's going to happen with Dennis Schroeder, because if they bring him back, then signing a Patty Mills doesn't make any kind of sense. But what do you guys think is going to happen there? Because it's been a hot minute. He still hasn't signed anywhere.
Yeah, I'm going to bring that up, man. He's going back to the Lakers because no one else really has money that he wants, because it's either he takes like a mid-level or a minimum or just returns back to the Lakers.
Because, I mean, that's what Reggie Jackson did. He was making, like $18 million the year before? Something in that range, $17-18 million. And then he signed a minimum contract because he played down his value so much. And then this offseason, he signed, a 2-year 20, 2-year 22, something like that. So, I mean, Dennis Schroeder, bro, like, I understand the whole bet on yourself thing. A lot of players do it. But when a team gives you a contract that's 4 years, $85 million, and you say no to it, and then you go on, you don't play that well to close the regular season. You barely play, actually, to close the regular season. And you play like garbage in the playoffs. Like, it sucks now because he's in one of those Isaiah Thomas situations where he had a big payday in front of him. He could have signed it. He didn't. And now he's pretty much screwed.
Yeah.
He's going to be making $2 million next year.
Like, I respect it for sure. You really got to back it up.
No, I mean, I respect it if you back it up. Like, Jimmy did it with the Bulls. They tried to give him, I don't remember what the deal was at the time, but they were lowballing him in his eyes. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to sign the qualifying, come back, show you guys that I'm a superstar. And then he got a max contract the next offseason. But Dennis Schroeder isn't a superstar. And I know NBA players, they believe in themselves. They think they're the best or a part of a group of the best. But realistically, if he just signed that contract, he would have been secure. And that would have been good for the Lakers too, because if he played like garbage the way he did, it would have just been a salary that they would have had on the team. And they don't have that now.
Yeah, that's very true. Anything else?
There's one more thing. Chris Paul is no longer the president of the Players Association now. It's CJ McCollum.
Yeah.
And that's very interesting because Chris Paul, I think he just signed the last contract of his career. He may sign a minimum or two at the end of his career, but in terms of actual big money contracts, I think this was the last one. This is it for him. Yeah. So in that sense, it makes sense that he's no longer the president of the Players Association. It's somebody younger that has another decade in the league. But Chris Paul did so much for the players, bro. Part of the money, all the money they make, all the player friendly things that have happened in the last half a decade or so, I would say. Chris Paul has been the main culprit of all of that. So it's gonna be interesting to see. Hopefully CJ McCollum can keep it up at the level that Chris Paul did. Because Chris Paul represented the players to the best of his ability.
I feel like CJ is more like you see like Chris Paul, you know, like those memes where it's like when Steve Kerr was like making a joke with him, he's like made that fake laugh or whatever, and then that when was one of the refs was like did that motion, he's like mocking him and shit.
Yeah.
Like I feel like things like that kind of put him in a bit of a bad light in terms of like you're supposed to be like the head of the Players Association. You're supposed to be like this like
you're supposed to do things that are respectable, and you're doing these vindictive, like just shitty things.
I like it. No, it's not shitty. I like it. It's just
that Steve Kerr clip was hilarious.
Exactly. Come on, it's the playoffs, bro. No one's actually trying to joke around. What do you think this is? Right? Like, it's kind of dumb in my opinion. But anyways.
Yeah, but getting back to the point, like CJ McCollum hopefully does what Chris Paul, the kind of things that Chris Paul did, because it's become completely a players' league. And actually, that reminds me, I think this whole players' league thing is jumped too far into the players' direction because, and I'm gonna get riled up here a bit, but Kawhi fucking Leonard is starting to piss me off. The Clippers could have done so many different things this offseason, but this clown has taken so long. He's still up to when we're recording right now, has not signed his contract. He has. He has. What did he sign?
I'm pretty sure he did.
No, I'm pretty sure the last I heard, he was still figuring. He said he's going to resign with the Clippers. Verbally, he agreed. He hasn't put pen to paper yet, and he hasn't picked what kind of deal he wants. But the point I'm trying to make is that.
No, I'm pretty sure he did.
I'm pretty sure he signed, bro.
We could check right now, really quickly. But
again, you're bringing a valid point. How he takes forever.
It's annoying as hell, man. Yo, because the thing is, I remember I saw this post on Instagram. It's like, yo, people call KD and LeBron like divas and like power.
No, that's Kawhi Leonard, bro. That's Kawhi Leonard, bro.
It's cool. That's literally Kawhi Leonard, and the only reason why people give him a pass is because he's quiet. Like, I don't give a shit if he's quiet. He's being a pussy.
I mean,
you know, like, damn.
It's not even him being a pussy. That's not what it is to me. To me, it's more that he's just being shitty. Like, this franchise gave up everything to get you, and if you want every dollar, they'll give you every dollar that you want. But he's wasting their time and he's wasting his own time trying to figure. I don't know what he's trying to figure out. Like, I mean, I know it's a big deal in terms of how many years and how much money, but I mean, in my estimation, the money isn't an issue because no matter how many years he signs, whether it's a 1+1, 2+1, 3+1, whatever the case may be, he's going to take every dollar he can get. He's not going to leave money on the table. So why not just sign so other players can see, okay, Kawhi Leonard is a Clipper for the future. I want to go there. They could have gotten a PJ Tucker or a Markieff Morris to pair with the other Morris brother, or a number of other players, a Patty Mills who could have helped them. Instead, they have the exact same roster. They're running it back for the third straight year after getting completely destroyed 2 years ago, being like up 3-1, losing 3 games in a row, and then this last year, Kawhi being injured, and them losing. The reason they lost is because Kawhi was injured, and it's not his fault. But at the end of the day, the reason they lost is because you were injured. So now if you're going to sit here and waste everybody's time, everybody's money, and the team's ability to build a roster for you to win a championship, it's just bullshit to me. And it really rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, he didn't sign, but it's just out saying that reportedly he agreed to deal with the Clippers.
Yeah, he agreed to sign with the Clippers. He said verbally that I want to come back. It's just a matter of how long it's going to be. But again, like, why couldn't, if you were going to do that, why didn't you just verbally commit as soon as free agency opened so that they could have got other players on the roster? Do you think I think PJ Tucker would have wanted to be there, or maybe not because Kawhi's injured for the whole next year. But there could have been players out there that they could have gotten in a sign and trade or whatnot, like a Kyle Lowry or Alonzo Ball or whoever. I'm just throwing out names. But point being, players would have considered going there if he just verbally agreed 72 hours ago, 96 hours ago, instead of 24 hours ago for no reason, just wasting people's time.
Yes, annoying. I don't get it.
I mean, he did the same thing to our team too.
Side topic. I want to bring up something. You guys want to talk about Andre Iguodala signing his 1 year with the Warriors?
That made me so happy.
That makes you happy inside, bro. It's just like it's perfect fit.
Just speculating. He belongs there, but just speculating with the last year that Steph Curry had babysitting these kids. 100% he went to the front office. He's like, yo, bring back Andre Iguodala. Worst case scenario, we get to the playoffs. These kids can't play. And they play like garbage. We have this one guy, Andre Iguodala, that knows everything about our offense, everything about our defense, and he fits in seamlessly. And he just complements the players we have. They could run it back again. Just, you know what? Bring back Bogut. Go get Sean Livingston. Screw it, right? Bring back the whole squad.
Yeah, totally, bro.
No,
yeah,
but
Bogut's gonna come onto the court and break his leg in the first
Bogut
minute.
gang, bro. Barjinder's Bogut gang.
Yo, Bogut gang.
Greatest player alive, bro.
Come on, name one better player.
Bro, Barjinder, when he started playing 2K, this is completely off topic. This is how you know the podcast is about to end any minute now. But completely off topic. When Barjinder started playing 2K with me on 2K18, he didn't know how to use Russell Westbrook or LeBron or Steph. But as soon as Bogut came on the court, it was an easy 20 points. I don't know how or why or when, but it was like 15 to 20 points every time, and I don't understand it to this day.
Yo, it's Bogut, come on.
I could never stop it. It was Andrew Bogut. I could never stop it.
Come on.
A center, bro.
Anyways, Andrew Bogut, you're a G. It's been real. You guys have a good night.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning into today's pod. Shout out to Kaiser Draws for the logo and YouTube banner, and huge shout out to Vic.Ash for the music. Links for the pages will be in the description below. Once again, thanks for listening. Like, comment, and subscribe for more YouTube content.